Hello, and welcome back to the Profitability Podcast. Today, I am super excited because I am going to introduce you to a dear friend of mine, Haylie Hardin. And one of my very favorite things about Haylie is she's a finance girly. Haylie Hardin is a partner in a growing woman-owned tax firm. I mean, come on, you guys. Like match made in heaven. She's based out of Austin, Texas, and has a huge commitment to advising her clients in the tax and finance world, just like we do. She has over 8 years of experience and has really honed in her expertise in navigating complex tax landscapes, ensuring her clients minimize their financial liability and maximize their financial potential. Her dedication to staying up to date with ever-changing tax regulations and her attention to detail have earned her a reputation for delivering exceptional service. Haylie's journey began at Ernst & Young, where she discovered her knack for numbers and her commitment to make a difference in the financial lives of individuals and businesses. Her entrepreneurial spirit led her to establish her own tax accounting firm, where she combined her expertise with a client-centric approach. Beyond her role at Go Hardin, Haylie is a dedicated advocate for financial literacy and empowerment. You guys, like the more that I introduce you, the more I just remember how much I love Haylie because we're just one of the same. She conducts workshops and seminars, sharing her knowledge with the community to help individuals take control of their financial futures. Haylie's mission is clear: to demystify taxes, provide personalized financial solutions, and foster financial independence for her clients. I mean, come on. Like, can you see why we're such good friends? Haylie is fantastic. And in this episode, we're going to talk about different things that we as finance girlies, think that you should do as business owners to prepare for the end of the year and move into the next tax year. So stay tuned for some really actionable tips from both of us and get a pen and paper and write down some of these things because trust me, they are going to make a huge difference in your life. So here we go. Welcome to the Profitability Podcast. I'm Joey.
And I'm Mackenzie.
Join us as we explore success in business and life, proving that while finance may not feel sexy, profitability is. All right, we're back with the Profitability Podcast. And today I'm super excited because we're bringing on one Haylie Hardin. Tell us more about you.
I love it. Thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited. This topic is near and dear, especially right now. Every single day, calls are coming in, emails are coming through. It's very busy. But yeah, so my name's Haylie. I'm a CPA here in Austin, Texas. I'm actually born and raised. Accounting's in my blood. My dad's a CPA. My cousin, I have uncles, grandpas. I mean, all CPAs. That's kind of funny. Grew up in that industry, talking money at the dinner table. So it's always been very close to me. Got my CPA degree, worked at the Big Four, had a great experience, but decided to jump ship. They kept asking me where I was and what I'm doing, and I couldn't take vacation, and that really wasn't my vibe. So I joined my dad, and we've been growing the business since. We have an office here. I work a lot of face-to-face, but we do a ton of stuff remotely, so it really doesn't matter. But I'm really passionate about helping business owners kind of alleviate the stress of this. I think being a business owner can be very isolating in a way because a lot of the struggles that you face, you can't really talk to your employees about it. You can maybe talk to your spouse, maybe not. So I like to be a trusted advisor that you can call and we just talk. We can talk money, we can talk HR, we can talk growth, we can talk strategy. So I really like to have like a friendship around with my clients and work with good people I trust. And yeah, so I work with a ton of different industries. Austin has a lot of tech here. So that just happens to be a space we're constantly working in, as well as service industry. So I love my clients. I was just talking to my cousin about our headcount. I think we're at about 400 clients or so. So I feel very, very lucky. We're very busy.
You've built something so amazing, truly. And we've spent a few video calls together now. And what they've built is just incredible. And when I talk to Haylie and Sophia, every time they talk about the importance of taking care of their clients. And as you can see, you can just hearing her talk, you can tell why we're good friends if you're listening. And you have big plans to grow and you are not stopping anytime soon.
We're making our first hire officially. So that's exciting, right?
Super exciting. We're thrilled for that. And let's just time out really quick because we have to shout out the fact that you just said You have 400 clients. Then, if I'm hearing you right, it's you and Sophia. No admin, no back office. Like, how do you do it all?
I don't pretend that I do, and I'm not perfect, but I try my best every single day. And I think, if anything, I'm really honest and clear, and I set expectations as much as I can. And maybe every business owner should be doing that stuff. And I'm trying every day to get better, you know?
Tell us about you outside of work. What do you like to do? Do you do anything outside of work? Manage 400 clients. It's no big deal.
It's always like, what time of year are you asking too? Because right now I have a lot of hobbies, but starting in February, they kind of tail off. But I am married to my high school sweetheart. We met when we were 16 years old. Love him to death. We have a dog, no kids yet. And my biggest passion and kind of my motivator is definitely traveling. My dad is from or born and raised in South Africa. So I just always had that travel bug. So when I have like those tough days, I'm like, it's okay because I have a great vacation plan soon and I'm going to upgrade my room because I'm going to work hard and do that for myself. So travel is a really big thing. And right now I'm really into reading, and I've been doing like, it's kind of embarrassing, but like fantasy stuff, which is so addicting. Thank you.
Our kind of girl. Our kind of girl.
Yes.
But we do numbers all day. When am I going to go home and read more about? Like, I need to get into a different mindset. You know what I mean?
Yes, just turn your brain off. Like, those are books you can just like turn your brain off and just enjoy. Yes.
And I look forward to it I'm just on a kick right now too. You know, we all go through those kicks. And then besides that, I'm really lucky because I'm born and raised in Austin. My whole family's still here, and I have a ton of friends locally. So we're just always getting up to something, you know.
We had gone out of town last weekend for our anniversary, and I was telling my husband about you and Sophia, and he's like, sounds like we need to plan a trip to Texas. I'm like, don't mess around with that. I will be down like in 10 minutes. I've got flights planned. Like, don't even mess around.
Amazing. Come on. And then I want to go to Utah next because my embarrassing truth is I've never been. And so it's time.
I mean, unless you're like really a winter girly.
I'm not, so I'll wait.
Okay, so 6 months. We'll have you this summer. Yes, come stay.
And that's perfect. That's when we need to leave Texas. So that sounds like a perfect day.
I think this is working out really well. We'll come visit you. You come visit us. We'll trade seasons. Kenzie and I did just finish Fourth Wing last week.
The best. The next one's coming out soon, I hear.
I will not tell you how late I stayed up to finish Fourth Wing.
You don't even need to because I already know.
Yeah.
Very bad. Very bad. But I started Iron Wing, I don't know, 2 days ago.
Flame?
Iron Flame, sorry.
It's always hard though. You're like, should I not work today to read? Like, no. I'm going to go work. Like,
sometimes that's the only thing that gets me through the day because it's like, okay, if I can get my work done, like I can be done early and then I could go read for a couple hours, you know? Like
oh, I love it. Okay. I didn't know we had that in common, and this is great news because I do have some recommendations.
Wow, we could just talk about all the reasons we should be best friends, but instead, let's dive into some things to help small business owners. Go read fantasy. I don't know. That helps. Seems like that's a good one. Haylie, why don't you kick us off? What's your number one recommendation?
I was pondering this today in preparation of our discussion, and we can go really technical, which I think probably what the listeners want to hear, but I want to start with celebrate your wins. I think at the end of the year is such a good time as you gather your documents, and we'll talk about all of that, to reflect and realize what you've accomplished. Because again, being a business owner, there's no boss telling you good job. There's no promotions. There's no bonuses we can talk about, but there's no one clapping for you. You kind of have to find that in yourself. So I think right now, take a moment and appreciate what you've done.
It is so hard to do that as a business owner because exactly what you said, but also because no one else is going to do it if you don't. But also, if you're like us, right? I'm constantly like, what's next? What's next? What's next? What do I still have to do? And sometimes it's hard to look at the forest through the trees and not sit down and go, okay, in all my hustle of what's next, if I look back at the last 12 months, we're not failing miserably. We're actually doing really well. I love what we've accomplished this year. And I can take 10 seconds to not think about what's coming next and just be like, yes, this is good. I'm not running
You get to do what you love every day with people that you enjoy working with. I mean, that right there is huge.
Huge. I just spoke at the local college here last week about entrepreneurship to some aspiring entrepreneurs. And I walked them through the last 10 years of my life. And if you've listened to our podcast, you know that it's been a little bit of a pinball machine. Finance was never on the board. Entrepreneurship was never on the board. I was like, all these other things were in my plans, and it all went up into flames. And I just went every direction and then landed here. And there was just a moment of like talking about those last 10 years and then going, and look what I've created. That during the 10 years, you're like, oh my gosh, this is all not going according to plan, which for me is devastating as a type A. And what am I doing with my life? But then when I look back, I'm like, that was the best journey ever, and so fun and a little crazy. And there were definitely hard moments, but super proud of where we are. Super thrilled that I get to work with my favorite people doing my favorite thing. I get to sit on a podcast on a Wednesday afternoon and talk to people who love reading. Like, what? That I get paid to do this? This is great. So yeah, I agree 100%.
I'm trying to decide which one I want to talk about first. I think the one I want to talk about is your payroll provider and when to decide if you need to switch or if you are like in love with what you have. So we've worked with several different payroll providers, and we typically advise that you want to switch payroll providers at the end or very beginning of the year. If you're not happy with the current one that you have. And really deciding if you love it or not can come down to a long list of things, but you need to make sure that they're filing your taxes correctly and on time, and they have all of that. And they're also giving you the support and the things that you need in your payroll provider. If you are not getting those things, there's better out there, and you should research and find a different one. And then when you're ready to switch, you should switch at the very beginning of the year. You kind of want that transition to start in like November, December time. So you really should be thinking about your payroll providers in like October-ish, because sometimes that transition can take a couple of months, depending on which one you're switching to. If you're switching to a really nice one, sometimes it will take just a couple of weeks. But you also want to give your employees enough time to adjust to that transition, because if you're switching providers, there might be a different app that they have to log into. Maybe they're tracking their time differently. You definitely want to make sure that you are giving your employees enough time to adjust to that transition. And then the reason we say that you want to switch towards the end of the year, beginning of the year, is so that all of your payroll records are in one spot. Obviously, if in the middle of the year, you're like, I hate this payroll provider, I can't do it for one more week, you definitely can switch in the middle of the year. But we typically want you to stay in the same payroll provider for a year so that all of your payroll records, all of your taxes, all of those things are housed in one place for 1 year. You're not having to like track stuff down in different payroll providers. If anybody that's listening to the podcast wants to talk more about this, I could talk about it for days. So
Me too.
We have strong opinions on payroll providers.
I do too.
We won't get into specifics, but if it rhymes with schmady schmee, you're doing it wrong.
I will say, though, the worst of the projects I work on are the mid-year payroll switches, because talk about calling a department that does not call you back or even mail you anything or what. Like, save your time and energy to make sales and don't change if you don't have to mid-year. Yeah.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, what do y'all recommend? What's your favorite if you have to? If maybe you don't say it, but
Our favorite currently is Gusto. We love them. They have the best support system that I have experienced in payroll providers. Like, you can get on the phone or chat with them and they will help you start to finish with any issues that they have.
finish in Kinsey, they finish it. That's the best part, right?
Yes. And even their tax team, like they have different teams. Their tax team, if you send them a notice, they will get back to you within 48 hours at the most. Like, they're really good about getting back to you. And they don't just say like, sorry, nothing we can do about it. They will like actually give you the solution and say, hey, we can't do anything about this, but here's what you should do to get this taken care of. Or they'll say, yep, that was our bad. Like, let's fix that. This is what you need to do. They're so on top of it. If you don't have like a state tax number or anything like that, they will literally send you reminders every other day to like get it done. And it's so nice because I've not had that experience with other ones where they're like, if you don't get us the number, like, too bad, we'll just keep doing what we're doing without it. And I'm like, that's not helpful. That just screws everybody in the end, you know? So that's currently our favorite. We are not fans of ADP, and if they come after us for this podcast, sorry. But
I will say I do love Bamboo HR, which is a Utah company. I think their platform is really, really easy to use for both the employee and the employer. And HR capabilities are just top notch, in my opinion. I recommend Bamboo for companies with a little bit higher headcount because they can be a little bit more expensive. But if it's like you and 2 employees, Gusto is so smooth, so slick. What about you, Haylie? I want to hear from you.
I'm a total Gusto girl, and I've independently come to that conclusion on my own, not through sales tactics from them, purely from experience and from exactly what you said, which is they solve your problems. I'm going to talk about one other provider I do not like, and this is probably an unpopular opinion, but I find QuickBooks Online Payroll to be, I can't even pull a report, and I'm like an accountant doing this all day, and I'm like constantly digging in. And then when I send those reports to third parties, I'm helping a lot of people sell their businesses. The reports look funny and they don't make sense. Like, I don't know what it is, but I'm a Gusto girl.
I love it. Yeah, QuickBooks Online for your accounting all day, every day. We love QuickBooks Online. Payroll, for whatever reason, it's like they should have just stuck with what they were good at. It's just not I totally agree, not my favorite either. Kenzie, I cut you off earlier. What were you going to say?
I think I was going to say about Bamboo, like, it's nice for bigger companies because once you kind of meet that threshold of like, oh, now you have to start offering benefits and you have to like offer these other additional things to your employees, Bamboo's really great for that. I know that Gusto has that feature. We haven't ever gotten to that point with a company where they've needed those features or didn't already have them through like something else with Gusto. But yeah, Gusto is our number one recommended.
You had to kind of nowhere the last few years, and it has been kicking butt. They do such a good job. We were on the phone with them last night, actually. They reached out to us proactively and said, hey, we have a new feature we want to show you. We'll offer you a gift card to get on with us. And we're like, yeah, of course. Got on. Yeah, they walked us through it. And Kenzie and I were like, okay, thank you for just continuing to make your product better. We already think you're the best on the market and you're still out here trying to make it better. I was so impressed. I just thought that says so much about who they are and what they're trying to accomplish. Okay, so get your payroll sorted out. The end of the year is a great time to do it. We'll say that Gusto's, one of the features that they showed us last night, is a mid-year payroll transition that looks pretty slick.
Okay, well, if anyone can do it, them. Yeah.
I don't want to do it. I will if I have to. But yeah, end of year is the time to do it. But it is possible. We just don't call us. No, just kidding. My tip actually kind of goes along with yours, Haylie, and that is get pumped about the next year and think about all the things that you want to accomplish, both personally and as a business. One of the best pieces of advice that I got was if you want to work on your business, work on yourself. I'm horrible at doing that. It's not exciting for me to work on myself. But when I can show up better as a human being, my business definitely does better.
That is so real. People need to take that, absorb it, and think about that on the drive home today.
It's really hard to like look inward and be like, what do I want to improve? And as a finance person, type A oldest daughter, hates to fail, which we'll talk about at the end here, I kind of am passionate about not setting 50 SMART goals for January 1st, like resolutions. Not a huge fan because I end up failing at all of them and then I don't improve anything. It's like an all or nothing mentality. So my favorite way to get excited about the new year is to like get on Pinterest or Canva or Google or wherever you find inspiration and just find things that really resonate with me that feel like what I want the year to look like. I've done this for a few years now, and then I post it up. It's right here behind my computer. I've shown it on social media a few times. It revolves around my family, my religion, my business, my coworkers, my friends, my spouse, all of these things. And it just has vibes, which is so against my nature to be like, smart goal, smart goal, smart goal. But it helps me when I do that. I get really excited about what I want to do and how I want to grow. It helps me create KPIs for my business and for my employees. And it also, at the end of the year, is a really great reminder to look up there and be like, oh yeah, I did all these things. I accomplished these vibes. I feel good about, it's just a great way to do exactly what you said, Haylie, and to reflect.
Mm-hmm. I love that idea.
Yeah. If you're not getting excited about the next year, something's wrong in your business.
Yep. That's why, aren't we doing this for a reason? I guess, yeah, we're all trying to make money and get health insurance and all that stuff. But being an entrepreneur is sometimes not the easiest road here. Sometimes I kind of want to be told what to do. So celebrate it, do what you want, and create an environment that you get excited to do every day,
The older I get, the faster and faster it goes. Years are starting to feel like months, and months are starting to feel like days. And it's crazy to me how if I don't document the things I want to accomplish, the time just ticks on and nothing gets done. Like, I've got to get real serious about what I want to do. And a year is a long time. It's a really great fresh start, and you can do a lot in a year if you're strategic about it and intentional.
Well, I'm going to get technical then, because I think, the people probably want to hear some like actionable items. Yeah, I'm not sure, but I think that right now is a really good time to get all your financial records together, either by getting with your bookkeeper, doing it yourself, going through the box of receipts, whatever the case may be. Do it now. During tax season, everyone is stressed. That's the main feedback I get is I work with my accountant and I'm not able to get real time feedback and all this sort of stuff. And when I push further, it's usually because they didn't have records until April and we're all making irrational decisions last minute. So I challenge everyone to do it now, get organized, and then at least at the beginning of next year, you'll have some time to refine as you start working with your financial professionals.
Yes, we're obviously very passionate about good bookkeeping, staying on top of those records. We all know, and I think even a lot of small business owners know, that if they stayed on top of it throughout the year, tax time would be a lot easier.
Wouldn't be a stressful point. It would be a simple filing. Yeah.
What other benefits do you see outside of tax stuff of having good record keeping?
How are we ever going to know where we are and decide where we want to go without accurate numbers? I mean, I have conversations where we don't even know year-to-date sales. Without that, what decisions are you making in the dark? How do we know what's working? People call me and they go, my business isn't working. And I'm like, great. Okay. Send me your financials. And they're like, well, I don't have any. I'm like, what I've learned throughout the years is working with a lot of different types, a lot of creatives, a lot of engineers, a lot of lawyers. We all think about numbers differently. Us three can probably look at something and it sings to us a little bit. It's very obvious, but it's not obvious to most. And that's okay. That's why it's all great. We're all good at different things. But without the record keeping, the business owner needs to be a part of most of the time. We can't do anything,
Tax savings, forget. Revenue generation, good luck. You'll eventually, I see a lot of small businesses who get a lot of traction early and they're just running to keep up, right? They just
that's always the exciting part, isn't it? I love that part. Yeah.
Yes. And they're like, it's helped. It served me this far. I don't really need it. Eventually, I am telling you, I've seen it time and time again. You will hit this plateau and it will go like this. Maybe it's not in sales, but maybe you'll start realizing, crap, I've hired 20 people to keep up and I don't know if I'm going to make payroll every week. It may not be that your sales plateau, but you'll hit this kind of barrier in your business one way or another. And without financial statements, I mean, we've literally done entire podcasts about this, but please run your business by the numbers. Please, please, please save our sanity. And if you don't want to do it, there's people who have weird missing pieces of their brain that do want to do it for you. So just let us do it. And it's so much easier if you just stay on top of it throughout the year. Not only is it less stressful, but I would argue that you will actually save time and money. It will affect your bottom line if you stay on top of your bookkeeping. So big deal. Love it. That was on my list too. So I'm glad you talked about that.
Mine are kind of boring because I'm like AP and payroll. And so mine have to do with that usually.
But yours is the real world stuff that like we're actually doing every single day.
Okay, the next thing I'm going to do, and I think I'm going to just kind of like link them together, but it's 1099, like cleanup and prep, and W-2 prep. Like 1099s, I'm telling you right now, if you can have a process around paying your 1099 contractors and vendors, when they onboard, get W-9 from them, get all of their information at that time so that in December, when you go, oh, I have to get all of my 1099 stuff, you're not scrambling to try and track down 50 people's information for their 1099 that you have to.
They don't want to give it to you, by the way. So it's too late to like a lot of those cases. Yeah.
And so this is the time now. Preferably the time is when you onboard that contractor or vendor that is going to be a 1099 for you. But the time is now in December to start getting all of that information because those are due in January and February. W-2s and 1099s are due in January and February. You have to have them issued to your people on time or you could get in big trouble. So you make sure with your 1099s that you have their EIN or their social security number if they don't have a business and it's a personal one. Preferably you would have a W-9 on file for them. So send them a W-9 to fill out. Send it in DocHub so that they can have it online. They don't have to like print it out and sign it. Like sometimes they have a copy of their W-9 already, but just do it now so that on January 1st, you're not going, freak, I've got to get all of these people, I've got to get emails out. Like it just creates chaos. It's like your bookkeeping. Like if you do it throughout the year, you get all the information, it's going to be so much easier in January to be able to issue those things. Updated addresses, same with payroll, like talk to your employees, tell them, log in to Gusto, log into whatever payroll system you use. Please make sure that your address is updated. Please make sure that everything is updated so that when we issue your W-2, it comes straight to your door and you don't have to track us down and we don't have to resend it. Like do all of those things now so that your life is so much easier at the beginning of the year. As women, life demands a lot from us, but there is no reason for you to put your business goals on hold. At the Profitability Project, we understand that your business can't be your whole life. Balancing personal life and work is always hard, and we want to help you make the most of every day. We are here to craft financial strategies to help you achieve the lifestyle you want. With options ranging from online courses to done-for-you services, you'll discover new ways to maximize profitability, streamline your operations, and take the guesswork out of taxes. We have what you need to take your business to the next level. Interested? Learn more about the Profitability Project at theprofitabilityproject.com. That's theprofitabilityproject.com. Get ready to grow your business without sacrificing your entire life.
And I'd like to make one argument besides compliance and stress is you can make that that W-9 process as part of like a contractor onboarding process and everyone loves it. You feel like you're starting something new. It's a kickoff. So just make it a simple part of that employment contract, your contractor agreement, whatever the case may be. Just add that in your file, you know?
100%. And then make sure that you have a good system of saving those documents so that they're not lost. They're not just like in your email. They're like in a spot, you know exactly where to go to look at your vendor, you know, W-9s.
Another totally free and unbiased plug for Gusto. When you pay your contractors through Gusto, they do have them fill out a W-9 and they send the 1099 for you. It's the best. It is the best.
If you have the budget, you should do that. Like I know some people don't want to spend the $4 a month it is or whatever. I'm fine with that. But if you can, just do it.
I would rather spend the money per month than try and get it all together in January. You don't want to pay your CPA to do it either. So
yeah, talk about a not good use of resources and money to get the accountant to do it, which is fine. I do that stuff all day long, but you can make your life so much easier.
Just make it easy on yourselves for sure. I love that one. And I think that we're probably familiar with the nightmare of it as one of our internal checks for our clients as we go through the last quarter and make sure that vendors are entered in correctly. You know,
That's nice.
if you're doing it through QuickBooks, make sure that each vendor is assigned to the right transactions, all of that stuff. So it's always good to double check, even if you have a great process. Go in and double check. Just make sure everything's set up. You'll save yourself a lot of headache for sure. For sure. Okay, so my next one is put a budget together for next year. I know a lot of business owners who are like, they don't operate on a budget, which is fine. But one of my favorite parts about talking about a 2025 budget is it actually is also a great way at the same time to set goals. It's a really great way to map out what you want to happen with your revenue and then say, oh, look, if we do 50,000 in June and our bottom line is going to be 40%, we could probably afford to hire come June if we hit that revenue target, or we can invest in marketing if we hit that revenue target, or whatever it might be that you might be looking forward to. I can take my staff to the Bahamas. I don't know what you want to do with your money. Do what you want to do. But it's cool to map out your ideal progression of the year, revenue and expense wise. It's just a great leeway into setting KPIs. I love when I put budgets together for people and I go, look at how your bottom line's growing. What are we doing with this money? Where are we going to reinvest it? We're having those conversations 6 months in advance. So when that money comes, we're not going, oh my gosh, is it time to hire? Is it time to do marketing? Is it time to go, I don't know, employee bonus? I don't know. Like, we already know what's happening. It's already on the schedule. We know what we're going to do with those funds. We know where our bottom line is going to be, our tax liability. We know all of those things all in advance. We know when we can stop bootstrapping every single thing and invest in a good CPA or a payroll provider, whatever it might be. So sit down and do an entire budget for all of 2025, month over month. See where your revenue is going to go. See what your expenses are. Chances increase of hitting those revenue numbers just by documenting it. Manifestation mentality a little bit. You just put it up to your computer, you're actually more likely to hit those numbers.
Talk about a good way to get a good night's sleep, knowing that your business is going to be okay. I get a lot of frantic calls. Can I do this? My biggest customer, they're leaving, all this stuff. If they have that budget and they can plug and play like that, they can relax and then focus on what's important.
The most basic way to do FP&A work for your company, just literally put it in a spreadsheet. Give me your revenue at the top, all your expenses at the bottom, see what's happening with your bottom line, and then just play around with it. You may not hit $50,000 in June like you thought, but then you just tweak that number and then you know which expenses to tweak and you're still on track for a profitable business. It's really simple FP&A that anybody can do.
It helps like with your goals too. Like you talked about goals and you talked about a budget. Like it's kind of fun to see like when we do a budget for the clients, for their eyes to kind of get like those big, like, deer in the headlights looks of like, oh my gosh, like I actually can go do these things. And then one of the things we also talk to our clients about is like, okay, what do you want to do in your life? Do you want to take your kids to Disneyland? Do you want to go on a trip? Like all of those things. And then we say, okay, here's your budget. And look, we can do that in July. If you can make these goals and make these revenue goals, you've got it. The money's in the bank. You can go, And so I love that it's like almost like a synergy. Like they all just work together to be able to like push your business forward and do the things that you want to do.
I love y'all's approach of we're talking about business, but we're taking it a step further, which is the business owner's goals and the employee's goals. Like, I like that Disney. That's a goal and we can work hard and that can motivate you every single day. And so y'all seem to push further than just the numbers. And I really like that approach.
Yeah, we're big into that. With our firm really specializes in women-owned businesses. And I think so much of our why is tethered, yes, to our business. And we want to accomplish, we have a why inside of our business. But like you mentioned earlier, Haylie, there's a why that's bigger than the business. Entrepreneurship isn't easy. What are you working towards? Why are you working as hard as you're working? What's the goal of that? And, like, yes, I want to hit this revenue target just because I can say that I hit it in my business or whatever. That's maybe a little bit more arbitrary. But if at the end of the year I hit that revenue target, but my family's been deserted or my hobbies I've given up or, any number of things, I didn't travel like I wanted to, I'm doing it wrong, right? Like that's not the point of it. Mackenzie, I loved what you said about that too, because budget has such a bad connotation. We talk about this all the time.
Oh, budgets aren't fun. Budgets tell me what I can't do. I hate budgets. I'm like, oh, I love a budget. Like,
I love a good budget.
budgets give me options. They give me choice, you know?
I think so many people are like, oh, I'm living on a budget. And it's just been turned into a nasty word. And I promise not just finance girls can love a budget. Your budget, when we do it with our clients, like Kenzie said, they get excited. So if your budget isn't getting you pumped about something, you're doing it wrong. Start over. Scrap it, start over. Get excited about what you want to invest in. Get excited about what's possible in your business. That's a good way to budget. It should feel fun and exciting.
My next one, I would like business owners, I'd recommend, we're talking year end, I want them to make what I'm going to call a compliance calendar, which isn't very exciting, but I want to call it like just looking at Q1, let's say, what's important. And I'm going to throw some dates out that I think are relevant, which is, April 15th, obviously we have tax returns due, but we also have, that's the last day that you can max out your Roth IRA if you can. When's the last day that you can put money into a solo 401k? What about my SEP IRA? I'd like to challenge business owners to stay proactive on that because that will help them achieve financial goals. And I know we want to talk beyond that, but more in the short term, what I need to put money in my HSA. How long do I have? Because a lot of people say, oh, well, it's too late. I'm like, no, it's not. This is January. We still have 3 months. You have a whole quarter to still contribute. Let's do that. So by having a plan in place now, I think you're just going to see better results in the long term. And that there's compliance and then there's other goals to that. So I challenge that calendar to cover all of it.
What would you say as far as that calendar goes for the end of the year? I mean, obviously we're now in December when this releases. So maybe it's a little bit late, but when do you like your clients to be coming to talk to you about 2024 taxes? Do they wait till the end of the year? Do they come talk to you in November? Are they talking to you all year round? What do you like to see?
That's such a great question. And it so depends on the personality types too. And I really try to lean in and get to know my clients so that I know that about them and I can create a safe place. So if someone wants to call me every week, great. If you want to never talk to me, okay too, whatever the case may be. But I think if you're a business owner, I want to talk to you monthly, but if that's not the case, I want to talk to you in November and December, because if we need to make a move, it's right then. If you're talking to me in January as a business owner, we might have missed some opportunities. It's not too late, but we should have talked earlier. And then if you're a W-2 employee and we are doing tax work together, much more like just file a tax return, there's not a ton of stuff to do. And so maybe it's okay to talk January, February time. April, I'm grumpy.
So true. So true. And to your point, you probably missed some good opportunities by that point.
And what I find hard about accounting advice is there's never like a right answer. Everyone has a different answer. It depends. So I know that probably as a listener, it can be frustrating I didn't answer it right. I didn't tell you when to talk to your accountant. It just depends. And that sucks. But
I would say that in a way, though, you did say that it's never the wrong time. You can always call. And if your accountant isn't answering or not getting back to you any time of the year, it might be time to look for a new one because they should be willing to talk to you whenever.
Even if I find that a lot of people say their accountant makes them feel stupid, and that is so upsetting to me because we know how complicated all of this is. So if you don't have a safe place to ask a silly question, then we need to find a better space for you.
100%. We see that all the time. If you can't be totally vulnerable with your accountant, finances are uncomfortable and scary and intimidating and very, very vulnerable.
Most people, like maybe us, we love it. I'm an open book about that stuff. But a lot of people, it's the most intimate thing about them.
I've mentioned this a few times. We had a client come to us and she was like, I feel like I'm getting a mammogram in a way because I'm just handing everything over. I know how much this business owner makes, not only in their business, but personally. I know what they like to spend their money on. Like we learn a lot about people by looking at their finances. It's very vulnerable. If your finance professional isn't willing to get vulnerable with you, that's a huge red flag. Huge, huge, huge. It's supposed to feel vulnerable. It's a taboo topic, but it doesn't have to feel that way.
If you have the right people in your corner on your finance team, it won't feel like that. It should feel like a safe space. Okay, my last one, unless something comes to my brain in the next little but is bonuses, holiday bonuses.
Ooh, the best. I love them.
Really, in my opinion, is holiday bonuses. If you do a budget at the beginning of the year, you're going to want to bake those in. And you're going to want to kind of start saving or start thinking about them earlier in the year. And also, you have to remember, like, holiday bonuses are going to make your payroll go up at the end of the year, right? So if you're giving bonuses to people, you want to make sure that you're budgeting, okay, in December, I want to give holiday bonuses. What is that going to look like for my bottom line? What does that look like for my business? How much am I willing to issue? You know, different things like that. And that's one of those goals too, I think, as business owners, that you can say, like, I want to take care of my employees. I want to give them a bonus at the end of the year, or I want to do a quarterly bonus, or whatever. So you should have a process around that and what you want that to look like.
Maybe don't Venmo your employees December 25th.
That's what my cousin Sophia said. She goes, run bonuses through payroll, please. That's what she wanted me to say on this podcast.
I love it. Yes, that is our advice, is like,
we're doing bookkeeping and we're like, what's all this?
Maybe I should be a little bit kinder in what my brain wants to say, but please run it through payroll. Even if you have to, you can either add it to your regular payroll or run an off-cycle payroll. All of your payroll providers allow an off-cycle payroll. If they don't, please switch. Run an off-cycle payroll for bonuses if you want to. If you want to make sure, if you want it to feel special and want it to, like, be not just on their pay stub or like with their regular payroll, like, run an off-cycle payroll a day later and have it hit their account a day later. But don't Venmo them.
It feels cheap. I feel forgotten if I get a weird Venmo or like an Amazon gift card to my email inbox on December 25th. It feels like, oh crap, I forgot. I didn't think about this. Whereas if I get a bonus early on, or even with my payroll surrounding Christmas, I feel like there was a lot of forethought in that and a lot of care put into it, and they were intentional about, they really wanted to give this to me. It wasn't just out of obligation.
And if you, like, for me, I'm like, I try and do my Christmas shopping early and stuff, but like, if I get a Venmo on December 25th, it's like,
oh, that might be fine.
I spent 4 weeks ago, you know? And, you know, it's just, it really, I think if you want to show that you value your employees and value what they are doing for your company, it's just nice to be able to think about that before, and think about how, like, okay, if I give this to them early, they'll get to use it on their Christmas and buy stuff. Maybe they'll be able to buy something for their kids that they weren't planning to be able to buy, but now they can, and they can get it to them on Christmas on time. Or, you know, maybe they can go on a trip with their husband and go an extra couple days or whatever it is, you know. But if you send it, you know, on December 25th, that doesn't.
But so such an exciting thing to be able to provide to your employees as a business owner too, to surprise them, to reward them, to make them feel appreciated for all their hard work. What a cool feeling.
I think companies who are struggling with retention, this is a great strategy, whether it's Christmas or throughout the year. Great thing to put into your budget for next year, you know, if nothing else. If you're struggling with retention, this is a great way. And, you know, studies are showing that most employees are employees that are currently 65 and older held on average less than 5 jobs in their lifetime. Employees in their current 30s are expected to hold 68 or more jobs in their lifetimes. So retention sucks for everybody. You might be the best employer in the world. We're all too ADHD.
Turnover is expensive too, to constantly recruit and onboard. What a nightmare, you know? Best employees, one that sticks around, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah. Profit killer is onboarding new employees. That will kill your profit so freaking fast.
Or onboarding new employees in new states. Please don't do that.
Yes, we'll save that for our payroll podcast, through payroll, of why you should not hire in new states. But yeah, it's great. And if you're not bonusing for your employees, you're not alone. Most small businesses are, you know, tight, but that actually leads into my next tip, which is start monitoring your cash flow and get comfortable and good at that for the next year, along with your budget. Budgets, obviously, we love. We're great. I love it. Small businesses also need to make sure that cash flow either aligns or somewhat goes along with their budget. Just because you signed for 50,000 in June in sales does not mean that you're going to collect 50,000, especially if you send invoices, right? If you're not selling something like e-com, you may not get 50,000 in June. And so make sure that there's enough cash in the bank to cover all your expenses, despite the bad debt, despite, unforeseen circumstances with clients, all of those things. I like to recommend a little bit of a safety net if you can. Obviously, everyone wants that. That's a dream. But again, small businesses, sometimes you're running paycheck to paycheck. And so especially if you're running paycheck to paycheck, get really, really comfortable and really, really good at monitoring your cash flow alongside your budget. Know when things are going to come out, know when things are going to come in. Get really good at making sure there's cash in the bank at all times.
Are you doing this every day, week, month? How often should I be checking in? Is it almost every day when I log in?
The political answer is it depends. If you are a company that has recurring revenue, your cash flow is pretty much the same month over month. Your expenses are probably coming out on the same days and your revenue is probably coming in on the same days, unless your collections efforts suck, which is a different conversation. If that's not the case, if you're a small business, it can be an everyday thing.
It can be every day. Yeah, you don't want that.
Especially if you're towing that line. Sometimes it's I have had my business at a point before where it has been, we've got to watch this every single day. And that's okay. It's not the most fun thing in the whole world. And I get that, but
it's not forever, right? Just a little chapter of story of life.
It's not forever. You can spread it out when you're in a really cash healthy position. You don't have to look at it every day. But if you're towing that line of profitability or you're operating in a loss, chances are you need to be looking at it every day. You'll avoid overdraft fees. You'll avoid missing payroll. I mean, talk about turnover. You screw up someone's paycheck, they're out of there. You want to make sure that you're not in a pinch, for sure. Okay, Haylie, do you have any more for us?
I'm just full of them, to be honest. I'm just I'm going to say one really quick and then move on, because this is on my mind, is check out what a BOI report is. If you own an LLC, you have until January 1st, 2025, and they are threatening $500 a day, which I don't know if they're going to do, but who wants to be the guinea pig on that? If you don't know what that is, reach out to your accountant, reach out to one of us, but file your BOI report. Look at that.
It seems daunting. It takes 10 minutes if you're really struggling, but seriously, you guys, it takes 10 minutes to just go in and do it. And then you're done. You just have to do it for the year. You don't ever have to look at it again. Just please do it so that you don't have to test if you get fined $500 every.
And are y'all doing it for your clients or asking your clients to do it for themselves?
Both. We're willing to do it for them, but we're like, seriously, you can do this. You don't pay us to do this.
Don't get scammed and pay somebody else to do it. Unless they're your accountant, if it's us and we're your finance team or your accountant is willing to do it, you can have them do that. That's your prerogative. But don't go on these sketchy websites. I literally, with Joey, I had done my BOI report for my own business, and I kept getting these text messages saying BOI required, make sure you do it. And I was like, I swear I did this. Yeah, I swear I did this. And so then I would click on the link and it would want me to pay them $200. And I was like, that's sketchy. And so then I literally had to text Joey and I was like, I did my BOI report, right? You watched me do it. We were on a Google Meet together doing them for our businesses. And she was like, yeah, you did it. So please, if you get an email or a text message and they want to charge you $200 to do it, don't do it. It's free. It's free.
Don't pay money. Don't give them a credit card. It's free. Takes 10 minutes. Agreed. Great point, Haylie. Glad you brought that up.
Okay, and then my other one, I just had I've been emailing so many people about that, so I had to bring it up. My second one is in kind of year-end bonuses, budget, I think that all kind of is relevant here, but if you want to buy yourself a laptop or you're going to make an investment into your company that's maybe simple, I think a laptop is a very obvious one. That can be really strategic for tax planning. And so this is a good time to do that kind of stuff now. But in my office, I don't ever recommend my clients just go buy stuff to buy stuff for the tax deduction. That is a whole mindset on a whole different group. But I'm team, if you need an office phone and you were going to do that either way, just go ahead and buy it in December or try to get a deal on it because you probably need the tax deduction and this is a good time to do it.
Talk to us about the car. I get this question every time I meet with a new client. They're like, do I need to buy a car in December? Talk to us about what you say to those people.
Do you need a car is my first question. And they're like, no. And I'm like, okay, don't buy one then. Like, I don't know what to tell you. But okay, yes. I don't know what podcast that went viral on, but every single person that talks to me wants to buy a car and wants to fully write it off. And then I say, first, do you need a car? And then second, I say, do you do business driving? And usually the answer is no. And I say, okay, well, that's not a business asset. That being said, there's a ton of people who do a ton of business driving. Real estate agents should maybe look at this closely. Anyone in construction should look at this closely. Roofers, that sort of stuff. You can absolutely write your car off if it's a business asset and you keep track of all your records. But do not spend money just to save the taxes. I just do not see a good reason to do that. Besides, like maybe for tax planning, it's okay. But from a holistic business perspective, it's not a decision I usually recommend.
Talk to us about what it looks like if I do buy a car in December. Let's say I go buy a $50,000 car and I finance it. And I bought it December 20th. What is that going to do to my bottom line?
So I would have to ask more questions, but assuming this is a full business asset and you have put it into productive use and it fits a long list of rules that the IRS has outlined, we could write it all off at once if it's appropriate.
Here's my thing. And even if it's financed. And so here's my thing. You're going to be paying monthly if you're financing it for this car. And yes, you got a car out of it. You're not just giving it to the IRS. So I get the benefit. But when we talk cash flow, it makes me crazy that people are like, I'm going to go invest in a car or real estate or whatever.
Invest in a car. Stop right there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Not an investment in this life. I'm going to go buy a car or I'm going to invest in real estate. Okay, real estate is different because that actually is an investment. But you have to consider your cash flow. Small businesses, just because you formed an LLC in your name, does not mean that you can afford a $300 to $600 monthly payment on a car that you don't need, even if it meets all the requirements, which it probably doesn't. So I agree. I'm like, I don't know where this car thing came into play, but everyone wants to buy a car.
It's an obsession.
It's an obsession.
Well, and I want to know, like, what's the deduction over the payment I'm going to have to make? Like, is it worth it? You know what I mean? Like, the deduction that I am getting for my taxes, is that even offsetting the monthly payment that I have to make? Like, you know what I mean? And so, like, why is it even worth it? You know what I mean? Like, if I'm driving every day for work, maybe. But if I'm not, then I don't even feel like the deduction is worth what I'm having to pay.
I had a client say, he calls me, hey, I want you to work with us. Every year I'll send you the financials. And then in December, I'll buy a truck. And I'm like, whoa, how many trucks do you have? And he's like 12. I'm like, how absolutely inconvenient and not helpful. But all right, you could have had a lot more money in your pocket without that strategy, but you should sound, I'm here to support you.
To be totally clear, I am not a fan of giving all of your money to the IRS. I do not believe in interest-free loans to the IRS. I want to help you deduct expenses. I want to help your bottom line make sense for your business. But just be aware that cash is a factor here. And just because you're saving money on your tax liability doesn't mean you're actually saving money. I don't know how we got on that tangent, but yes, everything about that is just crazy. So, okay, any other ones, Haylie? Keep going.
So we talked BOI, year-end planning stuff. I think right now is a really good time if you have a financial advisor that you intro your financial advisor with your accountant. I find that the best teams that I work on with business owners, we have an attorney, I'm the CPA, and we have a financial advisor, and we all talk because we're all have different hats on, and I find that just works really well together. So that's a kind of easy, simple one that maybe doesn't apply to everyone, but could. And then a lot of my stuff's compliance. The longer I've been an accountant here, sounds like you guys focus more on the forward facing stuff, which is so exciting and adds so much value. Fortunately and unfortunately, I look backwards and kind of today. So I would just make sure that you're aware of all your compliance hiccups and try your best to outsource to relevant teammates as possible, especially if stuff really stresses you out. So Kinsey, as you mentioned, that 1099 project, I've had business owners pull their hair out for days doing that when maybe an admin assistant would have been a more appropriate use and might not be as stressed by a task like that. So if you can make that compliance calendar and then maybe delegate it out or do it all, either way, there's tons of ranges of how people handle those things. I think that would be a really great use of time so that you can focus on what you really like to do, which is probably run the business and hopefully make sales.
We talk a lot to our clients about how I know it feels like you're saving money, and in a way you are if you wear all the hats and bootstrap. There's a time and a place to do that. However, you are your most expensive asset. If you are handling things that you could pay an administrative assistant to do, this is how I think of it. If you're paying yourself or not paying yourself, whatever, you're spending the time doing things that an admin assistant could do for a lot less. Even though you're saving dollars, you're not saving time, and time is money. Money is profit. And so if you could have spent that time doing marketing, selling to a new client, think about if I spend 1 hour selling to a new client and that client brings me in $10,000 a year, maybe, right? Like, I don't know what that might look like. Okay, $10,000 for 1 hour of my time. That's what that equals. And obviously it's not one-to-one exactly that, but if I'm spending all of my time, energy, and resources and capacity on 1099s when I could have paid someone $20 an hour and then gone and had 3 sales calls during that time and had the energy to do that, the end of the day, it's worth it. So there's a time and a place to bootstrap, and there's a time and a place to be the one to file your 1099s or whatever it might be. But there is so much power in learning to delegate and outsource, because you have something that nobody else can do in your business as the owner of it. And you should be spending as much time as possible doing that thing that you can delegate.
Kind of speaking on that bootstrap concept, something I constantly struggle with is I can do it faster and I'm just going to do it myself. So I'm kind of preaching to acquire. I need to listen to you about that. But yeah, I think ideally, maybe a business owner does it like 1 or 2 years, because then you get to learn the ropes. You can understand the value. You can understand the struggle. And then you move on and you don't think about it again. 1 year is okay. Like I like when people start doing their own QuickBooks, for example, and they go, I tried, I failed, I learned a lot. I can really appreciate the art. I'm going to move on and hand it off to you.
Agree 100%. And we always talk about we need you not to be an expert in all things. We do need you to know enough that you can hold your eventual team accountable. So I love, learn how to bookkeep, learn what you want it to look like, set up any systems that you want, so that if, just in the example of if you come then hire us and we take it over, now you know what you need out of us and you can hold us to doing a good job. I see a lot of people go, I hate marketing, so I'm going to hire a marketing agency. And then the marketing agency comes in, and because the owner knows nothing about marketing, the marketing agency can drain them of tens of thousands of dollars and perform zero. And I don't know how to fix it. I don't know if it's their fault or not. So I agree. It's great to learn just enough across all the business ownership areas, sales, marketing, finance, all of those things. Learn enough. Don't spend time becoming an expert. And then, yeah, I love that. Year mark, 2-year mark, start outsourcing stuff and spend more time being the CEO or, doing whatever it is that you're really, really good at.
Yeah, hopefully strategic vision. That's what I always try to push for owners to be doing.
Okay, cool. Any other recommendations that you like to give? Anything else that you want to share with our audience?
No, I'm just really incredibly thankful to be able to have connected with y'all. It's funny to find women that I think have similar mindsets and that want to support maybe other women and men in the space. But I think there's more than enough for us all to be successful together. So I don't know, maybe we all just need to help each other as much as we can let's do this, let's work hard, let's stay motivated. And even the listeners of this podcast, like supporting you guys is so cool. We all get to learn and be creative together. So I just really appreciate being invited here today.
Where can people find you if they want to work with you?
Great question. I'm actually not on Google. I'm kind of a mystery. It's a referral only approach right now. But if you go to gohardin.com and you give me a website inquiry, it goes straight to me and I will definitely reach out. So
the way accounting firms run today and how they've run in the past is going to see a huge shakeup, in my opinion, over the next few years. 75% of accounting firm owners are retiring in the next 10 years. 75%. Less and less people are taking the CPA exam, and small business is just continuing to boom. And so I love that there are more people in the space that are willing and able to help business owners, especially, get this new vision of finance and accounting for their business all over the place, right? Like, it's so needed. There's such a high demand. Everybody has to do taxes. Death and taxes, the only two things that that are true and certain. So I love that you and Sophia too are in this space and helping push that mission forward. It is awesome for us to see it. So thank you so much for coming on here, Haylie. It was great talking to you. And as she said, if you have any questions, drop an inquiry on her website, GoHardin, HARDIN, GoHardin.com, and Haylie will be reaching out. Thanks for tuning in to the Profitability Podcast. For more business and finance content, follow us on Instagram at The Profitability Project LLC or visit our website at theprofitabilityproject.com.